Hello, and welcome back to my small part of the universe. My name is Hailstone. Today, we'll be continuing on with our examination of the biomes of Barotrauma, and today, it is the Europan Ridge. So please, sit back, relax, and let us begin. If the cold caverns were only a mere clue to what the rest of Europa holds, well, it's a pretty bad clue to the Europan Ridge. Every place, every nook and cranny where life can evolve, does and can. The cliffs and walls of the well-traveled submarine passages are covered in vast mats of life, which many of can almost be called plants. Moss-like carpets, fungus-like coral, and stems with green and orange leaves swaying in the water, filtering out much-needed chemicals or tiny creatures to eat. The waters of the Europan Ridge are also far more active than the cold caverns. While the cold caverns are almost emotionless and stale, the Europan Ridge is highly active, almost torrential currents, funneling not only plant life throughout the environment, but copious amounts of dead matter to feed the microscopic creatures that make up the basis of the food webs for this biome. As the environment has become more lush than the cold caverns, its fauna has done in a certain aspect as well. Due to the abundance of resources, larger fauna have seen a regular uptick in the population around the Europan Ridge. Large packs of crawlers and mud raptors regularly damage and harass submarines, and often clash with thresher swarms in self-defense or to hunt. Hammerheads also begin to form packs at these depths, making these waters far too dangerous for any novice or small crew, except for the most experienced of crews and those funded well by the Coalition and their military, though the smallest misstep can kill off an entire crew regardless of how experienced they are. Young Molochs often frequent these waters, looking for a mate or pack, possibly due to being pushed out of the lower depths by another Moloch seizing its territory. Though despite their size, Molochs often keep to themselves unless perturbed by a passing submarine or some form of hostile predator from nearby or the abyss. Due to the high numbers of compatible hosts and passing submarines, hordes of husked crawlers and sessile thalami are regular dangers to human activity in the Europan region. In a sense, the thalami have adapted to creating their own reefs. While they only do this for their own protection, downing the corpse of some unseen creature or sub, in their own way, the thalami greatly benefit their environment by hollowing out bodies and releasing nutrients back to the water, or creating more cover for smaller fish species to hide from larger predators. In addition to its lush cliffs and walls, the caves of the Europan Ridge are as overtly lush as the outside, as in certain passages the bramble plants can be so thick it's nigh impossible to move past efficiently, without the aid of decent swimming techniques or a water scooter. Though, this isn't the only hazard in the caves. Gaseous vents spew out an oxygen-sucking compound that drains the air right out of the O2 tank. While I have no idea what this greenish gas may be, it may be able to draw out the oxygen through the smallest gaps in the tank, rapidly binding to the oxygen as it's sucked out, though I am no expert in such a field. The plants in the caves vary as wildly as in the open waters, though the most noticeable is often the extensive bramble. These flora grow in long, stiff stems with several small protrusions sticking out from the main stem resembling long thorns, ranging in color from a pale white to dark orange or blue. These colorations could come from the plant using the gas emitted from the vents as nutrition and separating the various chemicals, resulting in different pigmentations across the stem, though these very well may have come from elsewhere as well. The fauna of the Europan Ridge is a cornucopia of unexamined specimens and untapped resources. Large slime molds that cling to the walls that are able to slow down large submarines as they pass by, and so-called sonar flora that cause local disruptions of systems, when ventured too close obviously, possibly hinting at some form of possible defense mechanism against Molochs if they try to grab a bite off the flora. Though, no, Molochs truly do not have a bite. The small fish of the Europan Ridge are among the richest I have seen. Creatures I assume to be native to the cold caverns are easily found here, and vice versa, such as the multi-eyed angler and the glodarians. With this new knowledge, I could almost surmise that the Europan Ridge acts almost like a nexus point for the rest of the Europan biosphere, in a way incubating and hatching a large portion of the Europan fauna and then funneling it to the other ecosystems, though perhaps only for the small fish population. The species here that have caught my eye are rather interesting. The first is a four-eyed, brim-like fish with not only a seriously oversized upper jaw, but one that is disturbingly full of human-like teeth. Now, as jarring as this may seem, this was not actually unheard of on Earth. For example, as the red-bellied pacu sported albeit smaller teeth, but ones that looked very human-like indeed. If the similarity to the pacu is anything to go by, this fish may well be a vegetarian. Well, as vegetarian as life on Europa may get, feasting on immobile slime molds and other plant-like life. Its four large eyes probably help it keep an eye out for large nearby predators, so it knows when to bolt. The next one is rather similar, though only a singular pair of eyes and a ovoid-shaped body. This one doesn't look like it stole a pair of Dr. Happy's dentures from your grandparent. Instead, it looks like it invested more time in finding the needle in the haystack and only found a few as the result. This fish probably uses its teeth as a very quick gobble-up methodology, quickly buying what would be prey, piercing it at multiple angles, and then swallowing, hoping the prey is dead, when it might well not be. The last fish is one with a dull reddish coloration, and arguably the one that stands out the most, with an exaggerated dorsal fin that is gold at the end, giving it practically a almost pompadour-like look. Its eyes are large and reflective, yet bleak. Its mouth contains no teeth and may indicate a type of crushing plate-like jaw like a catfish. Aside from the top fin, the most standout feature of this fish are two enlarged sacs on the sides of the body towards the rear, and may either be egg sacs or some bizarre form of buoyancy management. If I had to give an answer on the possible diet of this creature, I would assume it uses its jaws to crack the shells of small crustaceans or mollusks, or possibly uses its jaws to rake against the surface of cliffs and rocks, scraping up small organisms into its mouth or loose vegetation. Among the last prominent features of the Europan Ridge are the alien ruins and floating icebergs. Aside from my own thoughts on the alien ruins, their true purpose is still unknown, and these ruins start cropping up at the depths of the Europan Ridge, indicating a possible native species that has evolved deep within the depths, taking advantage of the natural exotic elements that Europa provides, or ones that crash-landed long ago and the tectonics of Europa slowly covered up the craft over eons, dragging the wreckage deeper into the moon. Unlike the ice spires of the cold caverns, the Europan Ridge contains a much more mobile form of it. Floating chunks of water ice that has forced out the saline compounds, and what is left is a floating hard chunk of ice that moves with the currents of the Europan Ridge. The Europan Ridge is a true bounty of extraterrestrial life, showing nearly all Europa has to offer, from artificial reefs made by the Thalami to scores of plant life entwined deep into the caverns and cliffs, with the ever-present and arguably strange alien ruins sitting silently in its depths, taunting would-be researchers to figure out its secrets. Thank you for watching another one of my videos, and happy Thanksgiving to anyone who celebrates that this week. Now, next week, we'll begin our first foyer into the Callisto Protocol. Until then, have a great and fantastic next week.